Good evening, all. Welcome back to DAS TV. Hope you're all having a good weekend and a happy Sunday fun day. We're gonna have three guys to come in with me now this evening that know a little bit about football. We have first up is Jimmy, who's a big Chelsea fan. Jimmy, how are you, brother?
All good, lads. How are you?
All good. Right, gonna get Ryan in as well now, who's a United fan making his debut on the channel. Young Ryan, how's things, brother?
Not too good being a United fan, but I'm here. Good to
Well,
be
at
on the
least you
channel
turned
as well.
up. Yeah, better late than never, isn't it? I'm gonna also bring in a lad who's a young YouTuber, Klopptalk TV, over 1,000 subscribers as well. He's smashing it. Done a couple of the watch-alongs and the England watch-alongs as well. And the summer dressing, getting you a few shout-outs. So big up, brother. How are you?
Yeah, big up Daz, big up Jimmy and Ryan. Thank you for having me on, Daz. Penultimate, hope everyone's doing all right at home. And yeah, can't wait to get involved. Cheers, Darren.
Cheers, brother. I've had you on before, and I've also had Jimmy on. Jimmy was on with to Shawnee, I think, and another lad, the Chelsea fan, that come on. So Jimmy gave a bit of insight and knowledge last time, which was good. And I think he predicted Liverpool and Chelsea 1-1, and it was. So fair play to Jimmy. We're going to have anybody that doesn't tune in now, probably will be later on. A couple of people, actually, believe it or not, working a Sunday that watch this as well. So I suppose the first topic is a bit of a mad week in football with international football, which, look, I'm not a big fan of. I don't know about you. I know a couple of you want to watch the Ireland game. It's not something I really am passionate or love about, but obviously I want to see Ireland do well, do you know what I mean? And I love it when a tournament comes around. So I'm a bit on the jump on the bandwagon when it comes to that, when there's a European Championships or World Cup, that I do jump onto it. But I suppose the first one is, obviously, it was big news this week. Disappointing, I would say, obviously, for Rangers. But I seen comments this week come out from John Hartson saying that Rangers would put Aston Villa in the back pocket. So he feels Rangers are a big club, which they are. Look, they're a huge club, but it's a bigger and better opportunity, isn't it, in the Premier League? What do you make of that? Jimmy, we'll start with you first. What do you think of Gerrard this week going to Villa?
Well, I don't know. I think it's definitely a big storyline for the Premier League, you know. Like Gerrard, you've seen the likes of Frank Lampard, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, Patrick Vieira now managing in the Premier League, and it's good to see another familiar face back in, like, who used to dominate for Liverpool over the years. Now it's good to see him back into management. It's difficult to gauge how. I know, like, no disrespect to the SPL or to Rangers, it's difficult to gauge, you know, what his sort of managerial skill set is like. Do you know? He hasn't been doing it for that long, but it's definitely going to be a big step up for him moving to Villa, playing in the Premier League. It'll be a very good storyline to see this type of receptions he gets in Anfield, Goodison, Stamford Bridge, and the Old Trafford.
Yeah, and he's at Anfield next month, the 11th of December. He returns back. So
is that it?
Yeah. So a month away.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, for Gerrard and his manager career, I do think it's a good move because Villa are good enough to stay up. I think their squad is better than where they I think they're somewhere like 15th at the moment. I know they've lost their last 5 games, but I do think they're better than what they've shown in recent games. And I do think expectations with them for the remainder of this season will probably just be to avoid the drop at least. I know last year they were playing much better with the likes of Grealish in their squad, but I do think
they've been a bit unlucky though, haven't they, as well, with injuries? I mean, they've signed a few players that they seem very little of, so they've been hampered with a few injuries this season.
Danny Ings like that there, yeah, they've good players up front.
Yeah,
and I do think once Gerrard gets this season over with, give him one transfer season, I'd say he can make serious developments with that squad and bring Villa back up to mid-table plus.
Yeah. Look, it's definitely a challenge, and it's one that was a bit controversial because you can see Rangers who, you know, are flying. Well, not as much this season at the start of this season as they were last season, but they're certainly, I think, they're 5-6 points cleared at the top. They're can get out of group as well in Europe. I think they've one more game to win, which I think a lot of them expect to do. So there was a bit of controversy with it. There was also a bit of controversy that you went too soon. But as you said, Jimmy, Vieira that's went in, done well. Lampard done well as well. It was only unfortunate for Lampard that he was at a club of the magnitude of Chelsea that they needed instant success. And we said it before, Chelsea are good at when they identify a problem, going and nipping it in the bud and doing it straight away. Now, I know, look, but there's in some way financial fair play, whatever people can argue with. But look, he was a club legend, and he did do reasonably well, brought in players and had other players playing well. But with these managers, it takes time, just because they are great players doesn't make them great managers. But I think for Rangers to stop that 10 in a row as big as winning it, that was huge over in Glasgow. And Rangers are a massive club, same as Celtic. If they had the finances and the power that some of the Premier League clubs have, they potentially would be bigger than Villa. But Villa's a nice job, I think. I'm sure John Terry would have been on to him there as well about things. What do you make of it, Ryan? Fair play for coming on, Ryan. I've seen the stat that Villa spent 89 million last summer, but they recouped, I think, 104 million. So they spent a lot, but they obviously, whatever that is, I'm not great with maths. Is even £98 million net spend? It's actually a lot less than that, so now I sound really stupid. But it's big shout out there as well. Mitchell Balzanon haven't been on the stream. Yeah, I haven't seen you coming up in a while, bud, and he's gonna get a brew and enjoy this one. So if you want a brew as well, I just can't have enough. Sure, Ryan's gonna go for a proper 12 and Coke.
Yeah, on the Canadian at the moment.
Ah, lovely. So what do you make of it as well? Probably echoing a bit of what Jimmy said, is it?
Well, no, I was reading a few things earlier. I was Gerrard actually getting a bit of stick. I was for like what was it? He had done well in the league, but there was a few got knocked out of a few cups. I just found it interesting to see with Champions League with Man Utd. There's a few times I think when the pressure got on him, he jumped off a bit, team wise, selection wise. But personally thought when Rangers were stuck in third for 3 seasons before Gerrard came, he got them playing modern football with 2 attacking fullbacks, as far as I remember. Brought in one of the Liverpool players, I think, didn't he?
He brought in Ryan Kent.
Flanagan,
Kent and Flanagan.
Took over the derby that season and were absolutely excellent. So I think it'll be hard for Villa to play football because they're a bit open. They were a bit open there for the last few games, but I think it's coming in. It's a risk, but it'll be exciting to see it. Hopefully, it doesn't go the same way as Solskjaer's appointment, But I do think it'll be a bit like they have some very exciting players that are going forward. Very, very exciting.
Yeah, I like that lad Leon Bailey that they signed. That young Jamaican, he's very good. He's like the Sterling, isn't he? A bit like Raheem Sterling.
He's fantastic, and he hit the ground running. So if they can get the most out of that, I think Dean Smith kind of hit his limit. I think the team started to get a bit demotivated. So it's time for someone else to come in now. But I'm looking forward to seeing that because Villa are a very, very big club, and will he get back by them as well?
Yeah. No, it's interesting because they are a big club traditionally, historically. Yeah, that they're a huge club. Villa Park's one of the best stadiums. Not only the biggest club in Birmingham as well, aren't they? But in the Midlands, there, it's a huge task. They got 11th last season. They were dangerous, very competitive against some of the top teams. But it's hard to see them this season improving on 11th. I don't see it happening. Led, what do you make of it, buddy? Obviously, I'm sure you might have even done a stream on it. But what do you make of Gerrard going to Villa this week? Big shout out there to Archie Doolan as well there.
Big up Archie. Big up everybody. And to be fair, I think it's a bit of a mixed appointment. I think he's got a very big task ahead of him. I think for Aston Villa's very strong start, the performance, the results have dropped off slightly, and they find themselves in a position where there's fine margins for error, and they've recruited well. I think they obviously, losing Jack Grealish was a big asset of theirs, and recruiting well, like you said, Leon Bailey. They've also got Buendia, Danny Ings options going forward, but they are slightly open defensively as well, which does allow teams to punish you at this level of football. So, look, I think it's a very difficult job for Steven Gerrard because although Rangers are a massive club, Aston Villa, one of the best club in the Midlands and one of the best clubs in the UK. So he's got a lot to manage there. But I think his prime objective this season is just to stay up. Like what you both have said, I think give him until the transfer window where he can properly implement his system, and then he'll get time to get his full season in charge. I think the main priority, for him is just to get the message across well, make sure they do all they can to stay up. But I think it can be a good appointment because I feel like Villa, if worked appropriately and in the right manner, I feel Aston Villa can be a top team in the Premier League, but I think he's still got a lot to do in terms of sorting out the defensive deficiencies so far. But it's a mixed appointment, but I think it's a risk that Stevie and Aston Villa are both willing to take.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And Archie makes a good point there that it'd be interesting to see when he comes up against Pep, Ole, Benitez, etc. And in a way, there won't be as much pressure as probably there would have been when he went to Scotland, because I'd say the fans are probably divided on it, but there's obviously more pressure on the other lads he's mentioned there, because has to be instant success, doesn't there? So big shout out to there, Archie, for that, buddy. Mitchell Blaze comes back in here. Bolton, sorry, should say. I reckon as soon as they swallowed the Champions League, he knew the budget was going to be too tight to do what he wants to do at Rangers. Villa spend well, so he's going to get back. Yeah, I think so. I think Christian Purslow, who would have known him as well, who was a part of Liverpool before, they've good owners there. They've owners that are willing to spend, so he'll definitely get the money at Villa. But I suppose with money becomes instant success, doesn't it? And more money, more responsibility. You know, I was once said when I went into work before, in a position to go into what becomes with more responsibility. You know, he says money. And someone says, no, you can delegate more, but you know, you always go into the money bit. But what you call it, yeah. So Mitchell, big shout out to there. That's true. So I seen also as well 2024. He's a 2.5 year contract, and then Klopp has gone then. But I think it's a bit early to talk about him getting the Liverpool job. I think if he doesn't cut at Villa, he's not going to be good enough to cut at Liverpool. So it depends. If he goes to Villa, does really well, he's going to have a lot of offers coming into time. And then look, it's too early to say would Liverpool go from, will Klopp extend the stay, or what will happen. You wouldn't know. Do you know what I mean? It's way too early. But speaking of it being too early, it's also way too early in the season to get your teeth into what's happened so far, hasn't it? 11 games gone. Chelsea on top, had a 10 out of 10 transfer window for me, and had probably close enough to a 10 out of 10 start of the season so far, until probably the only disappointing for Chelsea was losing at home to City and drawing against Burnley. Jimmy, you're a Chelsea fan. Obviously you're pleased by taking how the season's gone.
Yeah, absolutely delighted. But I think there still is room for improvement to come just yet. I know, like, without wanting to sound arrogant or anything, but I do think we should be further ahead than what we are at the minute. Obviously, we've been the one thing to stand out from Chelsea's performances so far is just how rock solid they have been at the back. 4 goals conceded in 11 games. Currently, we're on course to beat the record set by Mourinho back in 2005, whenever Chelsea won the league that year, of only conceding 15 goals. So on current form, Chelsea should narrowly just beat that. I do think we're looking fairly strong, even without the likes of Werner and Lukaku, who've been missing the last 5 games. We still got 4 victories and 1 draw, so that's a good sign. Without really having any of our sort of attacking players hit the ground running yet this year, we're still top of the league, so there's reason to be cheerful there.
Yeah, well, it's interesting. Like, I mean, Chelsea at the moment are 4 points cleared. I think City obviously went a great one last season. I think this stage last season they were 7 behind, but they ended up going on and blitzing the title. But that doesn't mean any of the rest are going to do that. Do you know what I mean? Ryan, what's your take so far? Chelsea top, City second, West Ham, and then you've Liverpool behind them. Obviously, West Ham are doing great. But from a United fan point of view, and just touching on what Jimmy said there, how's the season gone for you? Because obviously you bring in Sancho, you bring in Ronaldo, bring in Varane, 3 really good experienced players in those positions. Maybe you take away the experience for Sancho because he's not the most experienced, but huge potential. This is a signing that took probably 2 years to happen. Look, we all know what's going on at United and what's happened, but what's your take on what's happened so far? And then obviously touching on what Jimmy said there about Chelsea, where do you think they're going to go this season?
Well, at United, you'd wonder, like, who brought them players in? Was it Ole or was it the club? Because it's just he plays the same. He doesn't change it up. He doesn't take risks. Like, within the system there, Sancho's had a few very limited chances, but he hasn't been getting any service. The 2 lads play the ball back. He plays the same too. Doesn't change it up. When he does change it up a slight bit, everyone's looking at each other on the pitch where to be. I think Fernando's was playing up at the right hand corner and took a throw in the other week. He was looking back to say, where am I meant to be? And then you had two lads in the middle and a massive gap between the back line and the front line. It's messy. So I couldn't blame. I wouldn't be so like Sancho. Jesus, he can be a great signing, but you definitely can't tell that. But at the moment, something I don't know what they're waiting for, but it just does not look good in the pitch for United.
Do you think the change of manager has to happen? Something what Chelsea done with Lampard?
I know that was the argument was on with Gary Neville, and who was Gary Neville and Mika Richards, I think it was.
Micah Richards, yeah. Got a bit heated, didn't it?
Yeah, but I think you kind of, obviously you're not going to call him for a manager's head, but at the end of the day, it doesn't look good, and I don't think it can get any better from here. In terms of, he's been given the players, and it's went backwards.
Well, there was something said a while ago. I think Carragher made the point that Ronaldo was a great signing more so for the league than it was for United. Look, Ronaldo has been unbelievable since he's come in. He's got the goals. He's putting some good performances, but there's only so much he'll offer you. He's there to get goals. He's there to produce the magic moments. He's there to enhance the squad morale and for players off the field as well, what to show them. He's a very professional, disciplined fella. There's no doubt about it. Whether you love him or hate him or what you have to just look at the facts. He's been incredible, 36 and still going, still leading by example. But there is a little bit of truth in that, isn't there? Because he's played against Liverpool, he's played against City. Not that he hasn't done much, but he obviously hasn't had the impact as what you'd probably expected to. But look, we have to remember he's 36 years of age. He is human as well. Do you know what I mean? Like, I know sometimes we forget about that. He's done brilliant, but at 36, doing what he's doing.
He never pressed though. Like, he never even.
Is he doing enough off the ball? And at United in general, I don't see them doing enough off the ball. Fernandes, Pogba. I see a lot of players not taking responsibility, and it's a term you hear frequently, passing the buck. You know what I mean? And I think that a lot of that is going on, and that maybe it is obviously to go down with the manager. There's no ruin. It's not looking good for the manager's position.
It has to be questioned anyway. Like, I think we knew what we were getting with Ronaldo. Like, I think a few years ago when he was playing, he didn't do much pressing. I think Rooney did most of the pressing for him. The team pressed, Park pressed, all the players pressed. It was a different United side. I think all they knew that when you got him in. But what you have to be able to use into his skills, but that's not happening either. It's just the whole morale's down. I think it needs some sort of change.
It does. It needs someone just to go in, roll the sleeves up, and go back to basics. And it needs. What I see from United on the outside is a team that there's just not enough work rate being put in, going back to the basics. There's not a lot of never give up. There's not enough of that right mentality that you need, and that's something I'll touch on in a while, and I know I'll let it agree with me, and probably as all would in general, that Liverpool have, even at times when we've had injuries and we haven't had players in, you've done what you had to do, and there's a lot of excuses being made at the moment, but there's none for this manager. This manager needs to get his stuff sorted this season. He says when he brought in Ronaldo, and I think you probably would have even said it around the time, you need to win the Premier League, the Champions League. You need to be very, very competitive this season. Already it looks like they're not going to win the league. Look, Champions League, you never know what happens, and if they bring in someone in January. But it doesn't look like he's going to go, because all the background team have signed long-term contracts, Phelan and some of the rest of them. But is Ollie going to go? And who do they bring in at the moment? Because Conte now, we know, is gone to Spurs, who I think would have been a great appointment.
I think there's mention of Rodgers now, isn't there?
Yeah, I've seen that, yeah.
Which, again, he brings energy to teams. He has been good, but can he bring that team to the next level? I think Ole got to a stage last year where he brought United far. Then the pressure's on to go further, and it seems like it's all gone backwards. I don't know if it was the experience. Like, as I said, when the year before United appointed him, he was up in Tallaght Stadium managing Malmo against Rovers. It was an odd decision from the board, but they wanted to go away from an experienced manager. But like Mourinho, for the stick he got, won United stuff. He had put United into second position in a team who were poor, and they went.
He actually said that was one of his best achievements.
He did that.
Yeah, he did say that.
I remember that, and within that team, I remember some of it. You're thinking to yourself, it was like you had Phil Jones playing, you had Chris Smalling playing. There was some leaking some very poor goals, and Ole's been given that much more time. So I'm wondering what's the thinking behind it.
Yeah, it's a bit of a mess at the moment. It is a bit of a mess, and it's I don't know what happens going forward or who comes in. Question here from Archie Doolan, and for you, Aled. What do you think about Rodgers at United? Would you think he'd move. So we'll straight in with you, Aled. No kissing, straight in, brother.
I don't think he would. I don't think he would. I still think he's got unfinished business at Leicester, to be honest with you. But at the end of the day, I think in terms of Man United, I think they do need a managerial change based on the fact I think the message either needs to be re-implemented into the dressing room, which you could argue the international break's a good thing, a chance for players to sort of have that reset. But then you could also look at the other side of the coin, and these players are going to play different systems with their different countries, and then come back and try and go back to the same idea that was currently going at the club. So there's arguments both sides, but I think in terms of your question, I don't think I think Rodgers, for all he's done, I think for United standards, I feel he won't take them to that level of competing for trophies season in, season out. But I still think he can get better out of the players right now at this current state than Ollie is. But it's just about whether he can maintain that and sustain that over that longevity and that season. I think that is the biggest issue at Man United, because they deserve to be competing for the signings of Ronaldo. There's always that added expectation to go one step further and go all the way in every competition, because that's what he's about. That's what he's about. And I just feel like United need to be up there, and I think right now they're way off it. And I think the only thing right now that will change that, I think, is a managerial change. But when it'll happen, I'm not too sure. But it just feels like it's a ticking time bomb at this point.
Yeah, it does. I think that defeat against City, not only was it a bad defeat and it was a clean sheet for City leaving Old Trafford, but it was a mauling, wasn't it? It was men against boys. It was they just skilled them really. Particularly in that first half, or even second half, he didn't give much back. And I heard all that it was stupid. It was nonsense really. 3 games with City, Atlanta and Tottenham. They went to Tottenham, bashed them. But I've always said that Spurs will always let you down, and Spurs have been really poor. Hence why they made an appointment. The LFC fan throws in, I think this is Adam from Canada, LFC fan. Is it just me, or Aled looks like they're forcing him to be here? Yeah, Aled probably looks a bit, because he's normally used to facilitating, let's say, days and being the main thing. So he's probably not talking as much today. So he probably does look a bit off it today, Aled. But don't worry, bro. We do want you on it. LFC fan and Mitchell Blaze, and that's what I thought. Barca don't have to. Yeah, the lads are talking about Thiago there. Exactly there. Bro, literally looks like our situation FSG is just stingy. Daz, what's your thoughts on my 2 questions? What were them 2 questions again? I think they were back there. Throw them back in again, brother, there, Ravi. Throw them back in. I'll get to them. So, Aled, what's your take? Chelsea don't really, what Jimmy says, obviously they've had a great transfer window, great start to the season. They're looking strong, aren't they? Do you think they can win the league as a Liverpool fan, or is it too early to even be talking that with 26 or 7 games to go now? Still a lot of points to be won, a lot of points to be lost.
They're definitely more in the conversation, I feel, than City and Liverpool at the moment, based on the fact they're not conceding many goals. And I think it goes back to that famous saying, goals win you games, defenses win you titles. And, going back to Mourinho, the notorious CEO winner, won a lot at Chelsea as manager. And then, if you're conceding very few goals, the likelihood is, with also world-class attackers and world-class quality on your bench at your disposal as well, the likelihood is you're picking up the 3 points quite convincingly. And I think having a combination of both of those is a very big plus for Chelsea. And for me, I think Chelsea, obviously, like I said, they're more in the conversation than Liverpool, but I think it is slightly too early to call, based on the fact that the Premier League, I think, is the best it has been for a long, long time now. And I think the margins for error are so small because the teams around are so good as well. It means that teams will drop points. I'm pretty sure that Chelsea will drop points. I'm pretty sure our team does. Liverpool and Manchester City will drop points as well. But I think it's about reacting in the best possible way and trying to get that statement and trying to put together a run. As hard as it will be this season, like I go back to with the quality of the other teams, I just purely think it'll be one of those leagues where it'll go just late 70, 80, early 80 points. who will decide the title. For me, I just think the margins are incredibly small for this, and yeah, it's a bit too early. I think give it until after the AFCON. I think that is when we'll see the detrimental effect of all three respective clubs, and then we'll start to distinguish who is more in the running and odds on to win it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said, mate. Good point, lad. And I think it's when you see, particularly the last two teams that we dropped points against, Brighton, West Ham, then you look at Leicester now, Arsenal are creeping up a bit, Brentford are taking points off
exactly.
games. I seen them a couple of weeks ago against Chelsea, and they were very unlucky not to get something from it, but that was for Chelsea, for a very composed, compact, professional, got a 1-0 and just were happy to take that then, but at the end of the day, they got 3 points where we dropped 2 there, so sometimes that's the difference. The lads are flying in here, the comments. LFC fan, I think that's Adam from Canada. Yeah, he hasn't confirmed yet. Man United need to sign. So obviously that's Ronald Koeman, who's an amazing manager, and plus he recently was a manager at Barcelona, club with a fan base, living in the past, which is the same as United. Jesus. Look, we're probably all living in the past in some ways, but no. What do you think of him, Ryan, as a United fan? Would you like Ronald Koeman, or is it no for you?
I don't think so. No, I think it's. I know it has to be someone with experience, but I think it has to be someone with fresher ideas, and I don't think that. But then again, who do you get?
Yeah, I know. Well, at the moment, I mean, Pochettino, Conte would have, I think, fit like a glove, wouldn't they? But that's well past.
I don't even know about Conte. Conte comes in for 2 or 3 years, he brings in players, and then he goes and leaves the club in a bit of turmoil.
Well, that's fair. And a lot of money.
It'd be a nice 2 or 3 years, but then you're paying for that in the future. So,
yeah. Well, sorry there, you, Rich Dalio. I'm happy with the season so far. The LFC fan throws in, he is too, but beating United 5-0, which is probably one of the best memories I've had in the league. One of our biggest ever Premier League wins going there. But it was disappointing to follow up after that to draw at home to Brighton after being 2-0 up and playing great. Could have been 3-4 up. And then, to lose to West Ham. But my take on that is you just take your medicine. There's no excuses. We were poor against West Ham. They were better. The keeper was at fault for 3 goals. Defensively, we were poor. There was no urgency, no tempo, no energy, nothing. It looked like we were a team that played the Thursday night Europa League. So it was very, very poor performance. And sometimes you just have to accept it. You can talk about transfers or bringing in more depth, but we were nowhere near good enough against West Ham. And sometimes you need that. Sometimes you need a bad performance because of a reality check. But unfortunately, it came out a really bad time. Whereas Ravi is back in, Ravi Beckery. Questions, Thiago returned to Barca. He's mad up onto this one tonight, Ravi is. And what is up with Robbo's form? Yeah, well, I think with Robbo's form, me personally, he's played a lot of football, and he's probably played too much without being rested. Tsimikas has come in and done really well. But I think as well, Robbo just feels a bit of pressure now that Tsimikas is in and doing well. He's never had that competition before. He's doing well for Scotland though, but for Liverpool, yeah, his form hasn't been great, but I suppose it's easy to say that when they've had 2 bad results, because no one has been outstanding, then even Salah. But I think Thiago returned to Barca. It's just rumour. I can't see it happening, but who knows, you know what I mean? He needs to stay fit for Liverpool first to be coming in and playing. I still rate Robbo, absolutely Ravi Beckery. Things happen quick in football. You can have poor games and you can have them good quick after. So on to the next one, lads. That was a good little saying. Who wins the league? So we'll start with you, Jimmy. Who wins it this season and why? Apart from being a Chelsea fan,
for me.
Right. Why?
I just think based on the squad depth,
Yeah.
We've had injuries this year. Every team has had injuries. Liverpool have a lot in midfield. We've had a lot up front, but we've managed them really well. Apart from, you look at some of our big players like Kante, Lukaku, Mason Mount, they've all missed crucial games, but we're still pulling through that, and that's just basically down to the management, the squad depth, where we're on course to qualify for the Champions League, into the knockout stages. We're first in the league, and given off the back of this international break, we have crucial players like Lukaku, Werner coming back into the team. They'll give a massive boost to the likes of Havertz, who's been struggling a bit of late trying to fill those boots. But given our last few games have been against teams we'd expect them to beat, we have beat them apart from Burnley in our last game. The next 3 big games for us is against United, Leicester, and then West Ham, who obviously had that great result against Liverpool. So given it another few weeks, it's going to be crucial. Like
Christmas, back-to-back games, a lot of them as well.
Exactly, yeah. There's very little rest in between them too, but I do think that's one of our greatest strengths. Like Liverpool recently have struggled with the injuries in midfield, and I think they've looked a little bit flat because of that. Obviously, the way they play with their high pressing tempo and the sort of high block that they play, that is very energy sapping. Chelsea's style is a bit more reserved. We sit back, we play on the counter, and we squeeze teams a little bit less than Liverpool do. And I do think long term we are we're gonna preserve our energy well. You know, we have the likes of at the back line, we have so many good defenders to come in. We could always call on the likes of Conor Gallagher, who's at Crystal Palace. He could bring back even Ruben Loftus-Cheek, Ross Barkley, players who are on the fringes of things in the summertime. You thought, you know, we're going to be out the door. They've actually come in and had a crucial part in this season. And even Sal Niguez is one of our biggest transfer signings during the summer. He's even yet to kick a ball. And he's played in Champions League finals and massive games. He won the La Liga last year with Atletico. So I do think
quality player. Yeah, quality.
Yeah.
Ryan's not too happy about him, though, are you, Ryan? About him, yes.
Yeah, well, we're talking about that earlier, wasn't it? He's not no game time, but that's, as Jimmy said, that's the squad depth that they have there. Just send on to United, please.
Send on. So what do you think, Ryan? Who do you think will win it, and why do you think? It's probably a hard one for you because obviously, look, I think we can all agree that it's a 3-horse race. You know, look, unless you know, I think so, but there's a couple of teams creeping up. Liverpool at the losing a bit of momentum of late. I still think they're in with those 3 teams for sure. Who do you think will win it?
Who do I think will win it? I don't like. With Liverpool and with City, there has been inconsistencies. There has been injuries. They have dropped points more so. I think Chelsea, they will drop points, but they're very, very solid. They have players to call on when things go wrong. They're very, very tight, very hard to break down. And with goals in the team, that's how you win leagues. So I really don't see past it. I think this will be one of the more confident years in saying I do think they'll go on and do it. You can never rule Liverpool out, ever. You can't rule City out. 2 very good teams, never give up. I'm enjoying watching West Ham this year, though. I'm not saying they're going to go anywhere near, but I'm enjoying watching them. I think they'll cause a few upsets, but Chelsea will win the league this year, I do think.
Well, I think, as you mentioned, West Ham there, you've Liverpool, Chelsea, City, and then just behind them, you've West Ham. I mean, West Ham have picked up just the most points behind Chelsea and Man City in all of 2021 this calendar year. So that speaks volumes. It's not just something that's happened this season, you know. They're flying the yard, and like the London Stadium is like. Well, I do think that would be a genuine conversation if he hadn't have went to United and got sacked. I do think you'd probably have that.
It would be.
Only for he lost his job there. Who do you think's going to win it, and why do you think? Look, as a Liverpool fan, you'd probably go with Liverpool, but I know a couple of Liverpool fans was on stream at the start of the season, and some of them were saying we finished second, third. So I don't think any of them said we win it. But I think after beating United, we were all very confident and thought this would be the year. But it was only 8-9 games gone then. You can't be too loose to run yourself after that. What do you think will happen, Woody?
To be honest, at the start of the season I tipped Chelsea to win it. I said Chelsea will come first, Liverpool come second, City will come third, and United will get fourth. But if you're basing it off the first 11 games we've seen, Chelsea for me will win the league. Purely based on the fact they're not conceding goals. Yes, I feel like there's faults to their game which I feel they need to modify over the course of the season. But I think there's not a lot more, but there's more faults that need to be modified for the other two in Liverpool and Man City. The lack of that focal point in Man City, I feel, will cost them over the whole season. I felt it's cost them in a few games where they haven't quite got over the line. I think Southampton and Crystal Palace come to mind first. And, you know, in that Liverpool game in particular, Daz, you know, when they that first half, you know, if they had a Harry Kane type figure, that's 3-0 by half time. You know, the amount of chances they were churning up, you know, they were dying out for that number 9. And to be honest, I think Liverpool, the only thing they need to modify going into the rest of the season is control games. We seen 2 seasons ago when they were in winning positions, you either put the team to the sword or you control the game. We haven't showed much sign of that since the AC Milan game at Anfield 2 months ago. And we as a fan base, we were laughing a little bit at Man United, at the performances and then the results coming through. But in a way, we've been quite similar in the sense that this has been a long time coming, in the sense that, the performances weren't quite there. And then all of a sudden now we're seeing these results like the draw against Brighton, the West Ham game, other games like Atletico where we're outrunning that midfield. And I feel like little games like that, which I feel the West Ham game will be a good thing for Liverpool, getting that reality check. I think it's about just hitting the ground running in such a congested period of time now. And I think, like I said before, I think whoever tries to put ahead a long run will give themselves the best opportunity, but I think it'll be very hard to do so. But I'm going to stick with Chelsea to win the league based off what I've seen as a fair-headed perspective. But of course, there's a little bit edge in me to say Liverpool. I can't deny that. But if I had to put money on it, Chelsea for me. Chelsea get my vote.
Yeah. Well, look, it's a good show, and it's the top at the moment. They are flying, as we all said. It's a great transfer market, and they followed in the form great this season. But Paul Owens throws in a good point there. Chelsea fixtures get a lot tougher up until mid-January. I did see a lot of tough games, particularly away, but that'll be make or break, I think. I think if you can get through them unscathed, keep players fit, and most importantly, get 3 points, then they probably will be on course, because I think every team be beaten this season. There's going to be a lot of upsets this season. There's going to be Leicester, Southampton beating teams, Arsenal as well. I know Adam's running a point there. Imagine the end of the season, Arsenal win the league, trust the process. Yeah, not going to happen, but I think I'm not a betting man, but he puts money on Liverpool. But I do think, look, Arsenal obviously coming good at the moment, but it's very hard to call. I think I'm not going to say a toss of a coin between the three, because I think City are very experienced. City have unbelievable players, and they've been through an unbelievable run. Like last season when they went through 20-something games of winning, that was unbelievable in all competitions. Got to a Champions League final and won the league, and that's a great season when you do that. Just for them, they need to win it, and they didn't. And they won the League Cup as well last season, so they were on for the treble, weren't they? United fans to call it the Mickey Mouse treble, because it wasn't like the one that Fergie won in '99. But, I think it was an unbelievable season for them. But last season, too many teams dropped off. Chelsea weren't good, Liverpool weren't good, United obviously weren't good either. I know United got second, but it wasn't it was nowhere near going to win the league. So it was a bit easier for City, but City went to Chelsea, beat them, played really well, deserved that win, kept a clean sheet. There is parts of them where you say that first half against Liverpool, they can do it. Liverpool going to Old Trafford, winning against City, the result against Chelsea, they turned up at home. It's hard. It's hard to call. I can't call at the moment. I just think we'll see what happens. Come up to the Christmas period, January games, AFCON comes around, FA Cup comes around. The last 16, the Champions League and the Europa League for teams will say a lot, but I think it's going to be very competitive. And I'd say we'll all agree there's not going to be a runaway win over this season. I think come April, May, even the start of it, there'll still be a couple of teams in with a realistic chance of winning it. I hope so. And anyway, I hope we're going to get that competitive season. The last couple of seasons, it's either Liverpool or City have run away with it. We have a point in here, Michael Valden. Said at the beginning of the season, great first 11, but zero depth. Squads win titles, not first 11. He's obviously talking about Liverpool. We have not walked blind into another crisis this time. It's the midfield, and I don't see any business in January. Yeah, it's a good point. I think we've options, but I still think the Brighton game where you're winning 2-0, concede 2 goals, West Ham away. For me, they're nothing to do with depth. We just didn't turn up. We weren't good enough, and we were very naive, and their game plans were implemented brilliantly, but I do get the point to think over the course of the season. But what I said at the start of the season was on different streams is that if Liverpool, because they've only brought in the one player this season, if they put in a real serious title challenge, and what I mean by that is going to the end of the season with still a chance of winning it, and they don't win it, going forward in the quarterfinals or even to the semis or to quarters this season of the Champions League and winning a domestic cup, I'd be really pleased with that, because you look at what the others have spent, you'd say, right, they've more of a right, and they've more depth than that. But we'll see what happens. I don't think it's a disaster not winning it, but we certainly want to definitely keep on the heels of Chelsea and City. Ravi Beckbury, we have to keep it simple in the Arsenal game and stick to our game plan. And don't invite too much pressure on either. Yeah, that's true. On to the next one, lads. Flop of the season and player of the season. Who are you going for in the Premier League this season? I don't think there's been too many great players. There's been a few flops, but we'll start with you, Jimmy. Who's been your best player and the player that's flopped so far? Now, look, we're only 11 games in, a couple of League Cup games, a couple of Champions League games. There's not a lot of football, so I know it's hard to say who's a flop because they can turn it around. We could say someone here now and they could go out in the next game and score a hat-trick. But just based on what you've seen so far, who's been the best player in the Premier League and who's been the flop so far?
The best player in the league, hands down, was Salah. He's been absolutely incredible this year. You like that one?
10 Premier League goals and 5 in the Champions League. He's 15 goals this season. He's played 15 or 16 games. So he has, but even without the goals, yeah, he's all round.
But even his goal involvements, he's almost twice as many as Antonio's in second place.
Yeah, like that's right.
He's, what is he, 29 now? Yeah, I think you're seeing the best of him. Them 2 goals that stand out for me were the one against City and also the one he scored against Watford, where he just took the ball at the edge of the box on the inside right position, surrounded by defenders, but just twisted them left, right, this way and that, and just buried it. Like, those are the type of goals which just make you like what happened there. You know, they're just like freak of nature type stuff. Like I know, like, I think Ronaldo has been a close second in terms of just the crazy situations that he's like pulled United out of in the past, and even like them 2 goals he scored against Ireland in the qualifiers. Like, there you go. Like, these are more sort of like the incredible turnarounds. But I think Salah, just even to score a hat-trick against United in Old Trafford,
Fourth player at Old Trafford to do it in the league, yeah.
There you go. Like, these things don't happen, and he's done it. Flop of the season, I think, has to be Jadon Sancho. Not to be too critical at United, because I know Ryan has been on the receiving end of some sort of slick here, but
he's talking a while though, but he's being honest.
Yeah, he hasn't stopped smiling. Must be something to do with the pint, maybe. But anyway, Sancho, like, for 85 million, he's just been a bit of a disaster, really. But I don't really know, like, if it's him who you can really blame.
He hasn't played much though either, hasn't he? Not really.
He hasn't got off the mark. A few substitute appearances. Hasn't scored, hasn't assisted. He was a wonder kid in the Bundesliga with Dortmund. He's scoring left, right, and centre. Real, like, he was meant to be the next big English star. United chased after him for like 2 or 3 summer transfer windows, and they finally got their man, and they don't even play them. So, like, is it really him to blame? Like, I think, like, obviously with the signing of Ronaldo, he's kind of come in, and the team obviously is based around Ronaldo now, and Sancho has really suffered from that. Like, yeah,
and same as it's a bit of Fernandes as well, hasn't he? When he's not taking the penalties as well, because I know that's had a bit of an impact.
He did take
the wood on morale.
He skied it.
Yeah, yeah, that's
like,
true. Yeah.
Like, there you have Sancho coming in, and like, initially United had a great transfer window. I thought, yeah, Varane will slot into that back four. He'll make them really solid. I still rate Harry Maguire, even though he gets a lot of stick. I think their fullbacks Shaw and Wan-Bissaka are class, and obviously then if they were to bring in Sancho on the right, it looked like a good fit. But the arrival of Ronaldo has just cast Sancho to the side. He hasn't been getting a game. Jesse Lingard is now ahead of him on the pecking order, as well as Rashford and Greenwood. So it's not looking good for him.
Yeah. No, it's a good shout out. It hasn't. No, absolutely. And like, Sancho was one of the ones I thought I didn't put him in, and that was probably just on he hasn't had enough game time, and maybe it's something to do with the manager. I think more than he's down tools, but he's certainly one, Jimmy, that I thought of as well. But I won't put him as mine, but he's definitely up there. But maybe it's a bit harsh because it's still early and he hasn't played a lot. But you're right, if you're doing enough at training, surely if you get a game. And so if the other lad off Ajax United signed from Van de Beek, I think he's a smashing player, really, really good. I think he'd fit great even into Liverpool's team. But again, he's whatever's going on there. Obviously, there's something between him and Ole, whatever's happened, you know. Ryan, your best player so far this season and your flop, who you're going to go for?
Well, the best is the obvious. It has to be Salah, doesn't it?
I think so.
He's been excellent this year. Like, as I said, it can be hard to admit it, but Salah's been excellent. His play has been brilliant. His link-up play has been brilliant. demolished us at Old Trafford. He can get you out of any tight situation, but he's got that football brain that you know what he's doing, but you can't do anything about it. You know he's coming out on his left, but you're not doing nothing about that. He's excellent. So I'd have to say him. Second, I'd have to go Bernardo Silva's having a great season. He was brilliant at Old Trafford last week as well. I'd have to give him a shout out. I'll be controversial with me flop of the season, and I'm going to say Harry Maguire.
Right. And why do you think that?
He's the captain of United, and if you look at the performances he's putting in, I'm not going to do a Roy Keane on it, but look at the performances he's putting in. Look at the shape of that back line. Shaw out of position. No one's talking.
He has been poor though. He has been. Yeah, he hasn't led.
De Gea's been the one that's led, but he's not even okay. We might be in bad shape, but at least be a captain. But it's all out of sorts, and I think I've nothing that's shown me that. I think with Varane, it's a shame because I actually think management and staff rushing him back is another reason to be questioned of why Varane was on that pitch in the first place. So, but and Sancho, he just hasn't really got that chance. But I think Maguire is just.
Yeah, no, it's a good point about Maguire because not a lot of people have probably say that or agree. But look, it is only about opinions, none of the experts. But it is a good show because he has been poor, no doubt about it, Ryan. And for you to call him out and say he's the worst, says a lot. Aled, what's your best player so far this season and flop of the season so far? I know look, early days still, but we'll just call it as it is for now.
Yeah, it's obviously Mo Salah, the best player for me so far. Just the goal involvement is ridiculous, and just what he brings to Liverpool, the impact. Yes, we're becoming potentially a bit too reliant on him yet, but potentially. But I think the way he brings just the best out of Liverpool, I just think his all-round game. I think this is the most complete Mo Salah we've ever seen in his whole career, I think. And hopefully he can push on to break records. I don't think he'll emulate what he did the first season. I feel that is a freak season. And it'd be absolutely ridiculous to keep that vein of form up for a 38-game season. But look, Mo Salah's Mo Salah, Magic Mo. We see him week in, week out, creating opportunities, taking shots. And he won't be too, you want to take the shots. And I think, for me, he's been the best player of the season so far. Credit has to go to Bernardo Silva. I think he's in the shout and in the conversation 100%. But Salah at the moment has been levels above, and that's why Salah, gets my vote. But for flop of the season, I think Sancho also. I think Harry Kane also could be in the conversation. I think he's been very poor for the first 11 games of the season. But I think
he's been shocking. Yeah, I think Kane has down tools. The whole thing of gone, and part of one of the reasons why Nuno's gone. But I mean, Kane for me this season has been he's been terrible, really terrible. But his attitude, his desire, no commitment. He's really, really down tools, and that's why I would think Kane. But it's a good shout out, Aled, because and Adam Trozer in there as well, LFC fan. Now I know we're saying Fred, but I don't think he's been the worst. But I think he's been shocking this season, Harry Kane. And I seen something a while ago, Simon Jordan was saying on TalkSport, where he came out talking about after the Euros, they lost and he hasn't got over that and all that. He'd a bit longer rest if we go back to, he'd a longer break, 3 or 4 weeks, didn't report back to Tottenham, didn't turn up for training. But when he turned up, he might as well not have, you know what I mean? You would have been better with 10 men. I think he's being awful. I don't think enough is being made of it. And now that Conte comes in, he's gone the man that he probably will change. But I don't think that's good enough. You can do it for one and not for the other, especially a world-class player at his level. He's up there with Lewandowski's as a number 9 and goal scorer. Shocking. But sorry, go back to there to let.
Yeah, I know. Watch us now. Watch him next week. He'll score a hat-trick or do something ridiculous. But no, to be fair, I agree. I think you hit the nail on the head there. He has been shocking. And, I just think... I don't think he's handled that speculation well, basing it off his performances. But I think my flop of the season, based on the hype pre-season going into this season, I think I'd have to be Jadon Sancho, just based on the fact that there was a lot of hype put on his name. But I think there's been a lot of players that have had below par performances, shocking, abysmal performances. in Harry Kane and a few others. But I think for me, based on the hype element, I'd have to go Jadon Sancho.
Yeah, and I'm going to go with the same. Well, I'm not going to go with Sancho, but I'm going to go with Salah, obviously the best for all the reasons you have said. I think he's been pretty strong this season. And just levels ahead. He's been world class and enjoying where we have him. I think someone said a while ago, if you named the Liverpool starting 11 of all time, he'd be in it. So that speaks volumes ahead of some of the players that we had there. But unbelievable. I think I wrote something down there a while ago. I was saying Salah's he's had 169 appearances, 107 goals. This just in the league and 41 assists. So that's without Champions League and the Cup. So that's unbelievable for someone that's playing out wide right. You know what I mean? It's incredible, astonishing, I'd say, stats. But Harry Kane for me, as I just said as well, awful. Down tools, 9 or 10 games this season, being shocking. He's only scored 1 league goal. We're talking about a player that should be up there for the Golden Boot every season and could even be in a conversation for Ballon d'Or the way he was going seasons before. Up there with the very best, but this season he's let himself down big time. He came out with that interview with Gary Neville, said he wanted to go, and look, he didn't get his move, but he's an adult, he's a big fella. He knows he signed a big contract at Spurs. Daniel Levy and Spurs are never going to let him go easy. Other clubs didn't want to pay us, so you just have to come out and fight back and prove your worth, and that's something he hasn't done. So he's lacked a bit of fight. So for me, it's changed my mind slightly about Harry Kane. Not a lot, slightly, because I think good players show good heart and mentality, even when the chips are down. He hasn't done it for me, you know. Was there anything else, lads, to discuss before we go? I know the Ireland game's on. That the lads are probably itching there to get the cans and all out for tonight. You know, what anything else to bring up about tonight? I think that's kind of he is angry because imagine getting top assist and goal scorer and missed a lot of the season due to injury. Yeah, absolutely. I don't know. Anything else, lads, to bring up tonight? Was there anything else I had on the top of the agenda? No, there wasn't. There was just a couple of things, wasn't it? Who's going to get down? Sorry, who's going to get relegated? We'll go through them quickly. Who goes down for you? There's 5 teams down there in the relegation at the moment. I think 3 out of 5 will obviously they only 3 go down, but for me, I'm going to go with Watford, Norwich, and I don't know who else. I'll have to see what you think. I think Watford and Norwich will go. I don't know about Newcastle because of the money they'll spend in January. Eddie Howe is in, but he's a specialist at relegation, isn't he, as well? So I don't know. We start with you, Jimmy. Who do you think's going to go down? Who's your 3 teams that will go down this season?
For me, it's Norwich, Burnley, and Watford. Norwich, I know, like they just look way off it. And
yeah,
I'm
miles behind.
Yeah, and I don't know, like they've no manager at the minute either, so like it's just not looking good for them. Newcastle, I think, will be all right. You know, like just like what you said, bit of investment in January, and Eddie Howe is the right man for the job. You know, like that will give them a lift. You know, the supporters, they're great there too, so like they've been through that before, and it'll just be a strange situation for them given the new owners they have to be fucking down in the championship next year. Burnley, I think, will be
Norwich, Burnley, and United.
Burnley, I think, could be in trouble as well. You know, there's like Sean Dyche. He's the master in finishing 17th, but I don't think they'll finish 17th this year. Like they have a couple of good players, Chris Wood, Jay Rodriguez, but are they? Like, how many more times do these guys have to go to the pump? Like, I just don't think. I think they'll get caught this year. And who else did I say? Yeah, so not Watford. Yeah, Watford. Like they have a couple of good players like Danny Rose, Cathcart, Ben Foster, like established Premier League players, but like they're past.
And they ran Utd as well there. You know, I thought they would have been a lot harder. We played them after the last international break and went there and beat them 5-0. I was expecting a very close and tight game. I thought they'd have a better chance with Ranieri there, but they're sacking a lot of managers, but they have to stay up, don't they, this season? But I think they'll go down.
I don't know about Ranieri though. Is he the right man to get them to a relegation dogfight? I'm not sure about that.
No, I don't think so. No, I think you have a better chance.
He's used to winning leagues with Leicester, like, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, well, they Tottenham in that season as well, hadn't they? And Tottenham still couldn't do that, so that says it all. And Arsenal as well last season. Ryan, who do you think's going to go down? Who's your 3?
Yeah, I think Norwich is definite. Watford can be decent at times, but I don't think they'll stay up. Can Burnley do it again, or it'd be odd if Newcastle went, wouldn't it?
Yeah, the world's
Like,
richest
a new
club in
manager comes
Championship.
in. Yeah, but a new manager comes in. Will they be able to rush it to stay up? Or will Burnley, who've been doing it a long time, be able to do it? It'd be an interesting one.
I think Burnley stay up.
Has that
I
happened
think they
before?
stay up.
I think they stay up too. I just think they're a team that are experienced at doing it, know how to do it, will do
But
it.
I get Jimmy's point though on it, how long can they keep doing it, and that really that low block team, they're awful to watch, aren't they? But they do, I mean, even going to Chelsea there and getting a draw was a big point for them when I thought Chelsea had stuffed them. So yeah, I don't know what. Yeah, you think
I don't know.
Newcastle going on?
I don't think Eddie Howe was a very good appointment. I question.
I agree. Yeah,
I looked at it and went, "Wow, you got the investment, but it's wow, Eddie Howe."
it rhymes, doesn't it? Well, Eddie Howe. I could see that in the back of the Daily Mirror.
I don't know. I think Newcastle got down and come back up next year with a few quid.
Yeah, you could be right. I don't know. It's imagine Gerrard going to Villa and they go down. I don't think Villa though. Can't see that, but Aled, who do you think your three are to go down? I think you're probably going to say Norwich is a definite as well.
Oh yeah, Norwich being your season tickets. I just think they're done deal already. To be fair, I think Norwich will finish bottom. I think Watford, I don't think Ranieri has enough to really prove it and stay up. I think also, if you look at the teams around, I think Burnley will have enough. they've done it before. And you look at a team like, you could look at the other side of the coin. Swansea City were doing it for many years. And 1 year too many, they caught themselves in a sticky situation and they went down. So, obviously there's fine margins. Newcastle, I just feel like I see what all of you guys are saying, but I just feel like they'll have enough. I think one good window will just about keep them away. But I think it's you guys are well in your rights to say that they will go down, because I feel like they haven't been good to watch all season, and I think with the money, I think they'll come back next season. But for me, my bottom three, I think Leeds have been run right into the ground. So for me, I think Marcelo Bielsa, I think you can take a team to levels, but I think with the intensity that he demands from the players, I think it's very limited. And we're starting to see the players run into the ground, and it's just very open when I see Leeds. And I just think that they're conceding a lot of goals. So I think Leeds will. I think it'll be a shock, but I think Leeds will go down 18th, Watford 19th, and Norwich 20th. But
it's interesting that you said Leeds. Yeah. I think why it's interesting you said Leeds is because I seen a stat a while ago that they either win games or lose games, and they've lost a lot of them. They don't really draw games. They very rarely draw, and when they lose games, they get trashed. I mean, and it's a good way, because there's a lot of stubbornness there. He done great coming in last season, but is he past the sell by date with what he can do? Because he's just one way, hasn't he? And dog go all out. Do you know what I mean? And that they've started off the season very poorly. I expected them to be a bit better, especially last season. The big hype that was made, and they came to Anfield, they put up against Liverpool. Another day they could have drawn, and it was the first Friday night game. They lost 4-3, and Liverpool were probably lucky to win it, but did in the end. Salah scores a late penalty. I think he got a hat-trick that night. But Leeds are just, I think I don't know, it's an interesting, it's making me think a bit now. You have me thinking a bit about Leeds, because I don't know, I think they're way off of this season. They're really, really poor, and they're conceding a lot of goals. They're not scoring many, but as I said, they either win or lose games, but they're losing a lot of games. I know Alan C. throws in there. Anyone agree we need? You think he's talking about Liverpool, their pace up front in January? Yeah, well, the AFCON, I think the lads only missed 2 league games, so let's wait and see. But we have a Rigi there, don't we? To work the magic if needed. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. So who's going to get fourth, lads? We'll finish with fourth, and then I have another question I'll fire at you that none of you know yet. It's a quick one. I'm not like Gary Neville when he does this podcast with the quick fire questions, but what you call it? Who finishes fourth? Because I think we agree the top three are going to be the top three now, probably in different order. Who knows? It could be the same. But fourth place, I think, is the position that's there's probably West Ham, there's probably Leicester, United, and Arsenal. Possibly Spurs could get. Let's be realistic. All these teams can get it when you look through the teams and if they put a run together. If you win 3 or 4 games in a row, like, it enhances your positions a lot. I know LFC fans throwing Leicester 4. But are they? I mean, they've bottled it the last couple of seasons, really, haven't the last day of the season. Jimmy, we'll go with you. Who do you think gets 4th this season? And do you agree the top 3 will be the top 3 now, just possibly in different order of anything?
Yeah, I don't see, I just think the top 3 are level above. Top 4 is always an interesting one because there's always that, you're talking any number of 4 or 5 teams, like United, Tottenham, Arsenal, Leicester, and now West Ham are in the mix. It's a difficult one. I'd like to see Arsenal do it. They have a couple of good young exciting players that are good. I think Arteta he's like one of Pep's little proteges. He does play football the right way. Emile Smith-Rowe is an absolute baller. He's playing great stuff at the minute. West Ham possibly are the main underdogs. They're not the biggest in terms of the stature of the club. So there's always the neutral enough to always kind of be rooting for West Ham to do it. But I just don't think that they have the squad depth and the ability to maintain the form they're on. They're playing Thursday night football away in the Europa League, so that means it's going to be a lot of long trips away. For them away games,
if you don't have the squad, it's a lot, isn't it?
Yeah.
And they're into the quarters of the League Cup as well, so that's more games for them.
Tottenham, yeah, exactly, yeah. But Tottenham as well, Conte is a brilliant signing. He is one of the best managers in the world, and I do think, given the squad that they have there at Spurs, he will improve them no end. But I'd really hate to see them come in 4th, to be honest. So I'll go with Arsenal.
Who do you think, Ryan, get 4th place?
Yeah, it's that's an interesting point about West Ham and their squad depth. I think recently they've only been brought in Ben Johnson, though, who was playing underage, and he's been fantastic against Liverpool. Yeah, they keep going. They're a rock. Declan Rice, fantastic. I don't know if it's I want West Ham to do it or I think they will, but they're after making statements in the last few weeks to say that they have a chance.
Well, all of this year, in 2021, they've had the most points behind Chelsea and City.
I think they've been
brilliant.
I think they do it. That's why I don't know if that's me head, but I really just think they're an excellent, well-drilled team. Arsenal are coming back in. Arsenal have to give a mention to them, though. They have been excellent, and there is a plan coming there. But I think West Ham. I don't think will come back. I don't think there's any. I think this is a situation that's going to be a lot longer than the next few months.
Well, the joy of it is, suppose we wait and see what happens, isn't it? There's still a lot of football games to be won and lost. Led, what do you think? Who do you think gets 4th?
Yeah, there's a lot of games to be won and lost, as you just said there, Daz. But I think the teams that are in and around is obviously West Ham, Leicester, Man U, Arsenal, and have I missed any? I just feel like I think the quality will show over the course of the season. But for me, I think keeping Ole in the job is limiting Manchester United's position because I feel like if they don't sack him soon, I really feel like they are you're sacrificing that top fourth spot purely based on the fact that West Ham, Arsenal, Leicester, Tottenham can put in quality performances and get good results. But I just feel like based off what Man United have done so far, I just cannot see them making that change anytime soon. So I just feel like when they do make the change, because I do think he'll get sacked during the season, I feel like it'll just be 1 or 2 weeks too late, and it will cost them towards the end of the season in terms of positions. And I think Leicester will. But I think United will just finish short and finish 5th. West Ham, for all their good work over the first 11 games, 38 games. It's a long season, and with Europa League football to take into account as well, although they're dealing with it well now, I just feel like the form is temporary, class is permanent. That'll show towards the business end of the season, definitely.
Yeah, it's a good show. I agree. Good points, lads, with all you. Who I think will finish 4th is It's a hard one, very hard to call it, because we know if anyone goes on a little run of winning games, it wouldn't be by much that they're straight away in contention. At the moment, it looks like West Ham, so I'll go with them. I don't think Leicester, United haven't, obviously we've touched on. I think a lot of the media as well, like a lot of them are not really saying, or probably apart from Scholes, that Solskjaer isn't up for the job. And I think that the longer that goes on, then, he stays in it. But I think West Ham at the moment, but it's very early days. And I take up Jimmy's point. There's a lot of football in the quarters of the League Cup into the last 32 of the Europa League, and that will be tough. But West Ham look the best set at the moment. But then Conte comes into Spurs. They want to run. Arsenal are on a run. I just don't see Arsenal doing it, because I think they're way off still. And I think when Liverpool play them, I think that's next week. I do think, not just as a Liverpool fan and being optimistic, I do think Liverpool beat them at home. So we'll see, but you never know. There's maybe that pressure that was off Arsenal, but Wilkes, everyone expected Arteta to go and do it in dire needs that they weren't going to go on a run, so they did. So fair play to them. It's very, very hard to call, as I said. I don't think Everton will be there. I don't think Spurs. I don't think Leicester United. So I'm thinking West Ham. But we'll see what happens. They could easily finish well outside the top 6 as well. Lads, quick one for you go. What is our favourite film and why? Putting you on the spot now on this. We'll start with Jimmy. Your favourite film, Jimmy? You probably asked you this before, but
Ocean's 11.
Ocean's 11. All right. Yeah, good film.
Show.
I've seen it in the cinema years ago when I was out.
Great cast. Brad Pitt, George Clooney, Matt Damon. Each of the trilogies is class. Good. For any aspiring con men out there, I think that's a show to watch.
Yeah, we might. Any aspiring con man, that's good. Get your tips out of that. Or what's the other one with Leonardo DiCaprio where he's forging the checks is a good one. Catch Me If You Can.
If You Can.
Very good.
Ryan,
very good.
What's your favourite film?
I think for everyone, I have to go Pulp Fiction, probably. Jackie Brown's good film.
Well, you have the tattoo, don't you? A Pulp Fiction tattoo.
So have to go that. There's so much going on in it. It's just, but yeah, definitely that.
Jackie Brown's another classic.
Brown, yeah. We could go all day with this.
Yeah. We won't go all evening.
All day at the wheel, part 2.
yeah. That'd be a great film. Led, what's your favourite film? One of your favourite.
I've seen a few decent films, but I think based off recency bias, I think I just seen the James Bond one not long ago. I don't know what it is. No Time to Die or something. Yeah, it was good. So I'm going to say that, but maybe that's just the recency bias. But I really enjoyed the film. Going into 2.5 hours, but it was all right. I think it went quite quick based on the fact it was a decent watch.
Yeah, no, it was great. I had me hot dog at that, and I had me mozzarella sticks, and it was cheesy but easy, but it was great. It was unbelievable. I went to the Odeon, but my favourite one is probably The Fugitive. There's a Primal Fear that's very good with Eddie Norton in it, The Departed, Casino, Goodfellas, all these great films. As Ryan said, we could go on all night about them, but for any that hasn't watched The Next 3 Days on Netflix, give it a watch. Unbelievable film, great film. Class, give it a watch tonight. You will not be disappointed. Very great thrilling film trilogy, whatever, all the buzzwords, it's up there with them all. But thanks to everybody tonight in the comments dropping in. You're throwing in great comments there. Fair play to us all for like and subscribe. Remember, Jimmy, where can people find you? Are you on Twitter or just on the world of Instagram? But you're not really active these days, are you?
I keep a low profile, yeah. No,
keep a low profile.
I don't have a massive following, but
you have a better chance of seeing Jimmy on this, don't you, than on social media?
Up and coming, some might say.
yeah. Ryan, people find you on Instagram, Twitter, or
usually the local pub or something. No, find me on Instagram, or mostly Instagram, Facebook.
Along for town game as well.
Always,
in the middle of Ireland.
I do a lot of interviews for League of Ireland, different ones, but they have one coming up, a documentary coming up in a few weeks, I think. I'll probably post. I don't usually use YouTube, but might start.
You should start using it, yeah. Great platform, great way of networking. Led, people find you, obviously, Klopptalk TV, over 1,000 subscribers. You're killing it. You great content. And you're on it every day, aren't you? You're doing something on YouTube every day or every second day. Doing a lot of good stuff.
Yeah, just I was trying to have a little bit of a break this week because it's obviously quite demanding doing a long season in terms of getting content out. But big up to Daz first and foremost, big up to Jimmy, big up to Ryan. Make sure you all subscribe to Daz TV first and foremost. But my channel, Klopptalk TV, we're trying for 2,000 subs before the end of the season. That is the target. So guys, if you haven't done so already, I'd appreciate it massively if you go over there and subscribe. But make sure you do all the good stuff, like the vids and subscribe to Daz TV. And cheers, Jimmy and Ryan. Cheers, Daz. And,
have you anything coming up later on the channel? Anything coming up soon that to keep our eye out for?
That just gonna try and keep the consistency up and getting the watch longs out, getting the discussions going still, and making sure to just keep the match day content coming, just to keep up with every game, just because it's going to be quite a busy term, busy part of the season. So just trying to keep a bit of consistency with that. That's my main aim, to be honest. And we have a few projects coming towards Christmas, but nothing concrete yet. But you'll have to
it's in the pipeline. That's good enough. If it's in the pipeline, it'll happen somewhere along the line. Absolutely, mate. And the fact that you're thinking of it is good, and wish you the best of luck on it. And anyway, and thanks for coming on tonight, brother. Means a lot to get you on. And thanks to you lads as well, Jimmy and Ryan, for coming on. Appreciate it. Well done tonight, lads. You spoke well, gave good, honest opinions. And thanks to obviously everybody in the comments as well. I hope you're all having a Sunday fun day. Have a few beers tonight or whatever. Or, Ireland are playing as well tonight. Last game of the qualifiers. They're not going to qualify, but sorry to put it down, Ronald, but it's improvement, isn't it? And it's getting a bit of momentum after a great game drawn 0-0 against Portugal, and a game that they really should have won, to be honest. But 0-0 against Portugal is good. And Ravi Beckery there ends it on a high note. Big up Daz and crew, decent channel. Absolutely, Ravi. Get everyone, share it around, like and subscribe as well. I'm going to be doing a lot more content once I put the work in. And speaking of work, I'm in work tomorrow with these lads. Fair play to Adam. See you all next time. We'll be back on before Arsenal for a preview. I'm going to do that Thursday or Friday. I'll give you a shout, lad, if you're up for coming on. I will have another one or two. I'm going to try and get an Arsenal fan on as well and get their views. They're flying at the moment. But thanks to everybody tonight for subscribing. Big up to us all. Take care and enjoy the rest of the week. And start Monday off like you would as the Saturday. Cheers. Take care, all.
Take care.
Thanks, lads.